Hey everyone, just a quick preface to this episode. It's slightly different because Alex is taking the reins entirely on this one. During the recording of this particular episode, I happened to be really sick, and we did not have the time to reschedule, so unfortunately, Alex had to take this all by himself, but I hope you enjoy it no matter what.
Welcome to another episode of Plugged In. This is kind of an unusual episode because my co-host Tristan is not here, unfortunately. He is feeling under the weather today, but regardless, we have a very special episode today because we have Amarionette, specifically Nick, Ron, and AJ from Amarionette. They are a great band. They're signed to Esk Records, and they just put out an amazing new single called Modern Disco. I'm so excited to have you guys on.
Hell yeah. Excited to be here.
Excited to be part of it, man.
All right, so I always like to ask this to sort of start things off. Can you guys potentially describe like a little bit of the history of the band and how you guys either first met or first decided to start making music together?
Yeah, sure, man. Well, me and Justin, this is Nick, by the way. So me and Justin, we were in another band together previously, and I guess when that band broke up, I contacted Quinn because I was always a fan of Quinn's voice, and Quinn technically was in Amarionette. Like he's like the only founding member of the original Amarionette. So we got started, like we kind of just started jamming, and Quinn and Ron were like starting something. We weren't sure like what it was going to be or whatnot, and then when we all came together, we just decided to call it Amarionette because Amarionette had somewhat of a name in like around town, and so pretty much we just kind of, I guess, kept it going from there. But this lineup, like me, Ron, Quinn, and Justin have been in Amarionette since 2010. So they only released one other EP without any of us. But AJ joined when we recorded Picture Perfect.
Awesome.
So
does you guys are from Vegas, right? So is there like a big scene for sort of like post-hardcore music in Vegas, or is it sort of like more of an up-and-coming scene out there?
It used to be. Yeah,
it's more of a dying scene now.
It died. Yeah, it died.
Oh.
It has more of like I would say like the underground post-hardcore, I guess, is like kind of relevant, but I guess Vegas was more of like an actual like hardcore scene. Like there was like a big metal scene out here for a long time. But I mean, they do a lot of house shows out here that seem to be pretty well received. There were some bands out here, like I guess Alaska is considered somewhat of post-hardcore, like math rock-ish. What was that band? We used to play Gayos all the time. Caravels?
Caravels? I don't know.
Caravels used to do pretty well out here. And Oranges, they're signed to Blue Swan. I mean, I guess they're post-hardcore.
Yeah.
Somewhat. But yeah, I mean I guess that whole I guess post-hardcore isn't like what post-hardcore used to be either. I don't know.
I mean, there's just nowhere to play anymore.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I guess technically I really wouldn't consider like Oranges like post-hardcore. Like I would consider like Seosin or Circa like post-hardcore. You know what I mean?
Seosin again. Here
I'm just saying like that style of music. Wouldn't you say like they're more like a math like?
Yeah, they're more math, and I mean, would you consider Stolas post-hardcore? Stolas is from here.
Yeah, Stolas is post-hardcore, I guess.
More so than Oranges.
Yeah.
True.
That's true. Yeah, I like when I think of the Las Vegas scene, like you guys mentioned, like metal is known for having a big scene out there, and then of course you have like the really big bands like Killers, Panic at the Disco. So I can imagine like sort of like a more up and coming bands like you guys were when you first started, that's probably like hard to break into like a scene like that where you had said it was kind of like either dying or maybe starting back up, but you sort of have to, I guess, like build your own path into like a national level, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Going off of that, like, so you said the band had actually already existed when you guys had joined. How had you, like, you guys, when you like individually joined the project, like fit into the larger context of what already existed in Amarionette, and how would you sort of decide what the sound was going to be going forward?
Nick pretty much just always changes the game. There was never I don't think there was ever an intention of sounding like Amarionette had used to sound, because we had all grown up listening to Amarionette. Like, we had been to Amarionette shows. And I don't know if there was a bigger I mean, since Quinn was the only member, I think we only kept the name just for the name. I don't think it was for like us to fit into a certain sound, because Nick already had a sound he already had songs in mind. So
yeah, like I introduced like B-sides from our old band that me and Justin were in, and those B-sides ended up being our old Chapters EP, which I can't stand it. But
it was pretty bad.
But you know, like when I think of like, I guess early Amarionette, like with this formation, I kind of think of the Dangerous EP, the one with the owl on it. But yeah, we had no intentions, I guess, of what we were supposed to sound like, or like what, you know, a general. Maybe there was like some sort of general direction during that Dangerous EP. Like, I just knew I didn't want like any screaming, really. I didn't want to be. I guess we didn't want to get pigeonholed, so to speak, in that genre. I wanted to be able to like play with all different types of bands, but that was really it.
Well, I guess talking about like sort of not getting pigeonholed and branching out stylistically, going off of that, like, in my opinion, Repeating History, your last full length, was sort of the best example of that, because to me that was sort of you guys branching out into maybe something a bit more like, I wouldn't say pop oriented, but I would definitely say those are like the biggest like hooks of your guys' career, in my opinion. Like every song is just like really catchy, and yet there's still so much going on. So how would you sort of describe like how you went from the early work to sort of evolving your songwriting over time to get to Repeating History?
That's so funny. I mean, I don't know. A lot of Repeating History were like really, really old songs. Like, there were a couple of like what's that? The end track, If You Knew Me. Like, I wrote that in like 2011 or 2012, that riff, and like something like that. When we tuned to it's like to standard tuning. Like, Repeating History is the only Amarionette record that's actually in standard tuning. So it kind of just sounded a lot better as opposed to Half Step Down for that song in particular. Like, it kind of just made everything sound a little bit more happy, a little bit more poppy, as opposed to like when you tune Half Step Down, I feel like it kind of gives like songs a different vibe. But it's I don't know. There were just certain songs on that album that sounded really, really boring. Half Step Down, and when we like decided to make the change to standard for that record, it gave everything this a little bit more pop sensibility than I guess we had. But some of those songs were new. Like, I remember we wrote All I Have together. Like, that was just like it was a jam thing. And Quinn kind of just like, I remember him like rapping for just to like mess around, and we were all like, dude, that sounds really cool. And he's like, really? And like we kind of just came together.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
But
think Quinn's
no.
voice has ever been that deep.
No. But no, we totally, like, it was like a joke, and then it wasn't so much a joke anymore when we all told him, like, dude, that sounds really cool, like, keep doing that. And now, like, yeah, he's been rapping a lot. He's actually really, really good at it. I commend him for it. So, but
yeah, I mean, like, that, I know, at least for me, like, that was a song I showed some people who like hadn't listened to you guys before, and like that sort of got them into the band for a first time, because like it sort of definitely has a different feel than, you know, some of your older stuff, especially with the rap verses and all that. Like, it's just a really fun song, and yet it still has a lot of technicality. You still sort of get the old Amarionette feel, but yet like you guys said, it kind of does have that stronger pop sensibility to it. So like, I feel like that was a really good gateway to at least some people I know that maybe hadn't listened to you guys as much before.
Yeah, I would say Quinn too. Like, I don't know if it was Mike. I don't know if it was just Quinn by himself being in that studio in Portland with Mike Somm. He did all the engineering on the record. But Mike really got a lot out of Quinn on that album too. Like, because Quinn was able to record up there and like be alone, I think that had a lot to do with it too. Like, honestly, Quinn made that album pretty. I don't want to say pop in a negative way, but he made it pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? Accessible.
Accessible.
Yeah, accessible.
I mean, he made it exciting.
Commercial.
He made
Yeah,
it really exciting. It wasn't just like a typical thing. You know, it was exciting to listen to.
So yeah, he did a really, really good job, and it also helps when all of our songs are pretty like pop structure. We have like progressive parts within like a pop structured song. You know, I don't think there's any song on that album that was more than 4 minutes.
No, that's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and you know, like it's always this pop structure.
Yeah. I'd be the first person to say, like, I don't really care for super long, drawn-out songs. And, yeah. But, like, I love progressive music, but sometimes, like, it just, all right, I'm over it. You know, I can only listen to the same song for so long.
Right.
But that's just how I feel.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people would definitely, like, agree with that, because, like you said, like, progressive songwriting can definitely be cool, but like I feel like it can definitely get too lost in like showing off technicality or showing off all the complex songwriting that you can do and all the, you know, riffs and solos and all that. But I think if there isn't like a great core song at like the center of it, like it kind of just gets to be too much of like you said, samey, and it just feels like one long song, like you said.
Yeah.
So I think you guys have never really had that issue because of having that pop framework, like you said.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like a lot of the best bands in like that sort of scene do that. Like Circa Survive, I think, does that really well, where they sort of blend the accessibility with the progressive elements, you know?
Yeah, their new song
That
is
new
so
song's
good.
fire.
That new song is so good.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm reviewing the album. I've heard it. It's so good.
Oh, man, I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I feel like just taking influence, not necessarily influence, but having that sort of blend of styles is something that's really important, and not just staying in one lane. So I think you guys being able to do that can really sort of, you know, not limit yourselves as songwriters and just your audience too, which I think is important. But let's see. So one thing I wanted to talk about also was that you guys are signed to Kurt Travis's record label Esk, and I was wondering if you could describe a little bit about how you maybe first got to meet Kurt, or what the process was like of deciding to join that label.
And we met Kurt the first time in Utah at the A Lot Like Bird show.
We met Kurt a very long time ago, and
he wasn't impressed by us at all.
he thought we were trash.
He thought we were such trash.
But no, so I was friends with Zach Guerin. He used to be in DGD too, and I think we just kind of started like following each other on Twitter, and like he's super funny on Twitter. It's hilarious. But
You guys both have the same sense of humor. That's why.
yeah, he's funny. But so we kind of started talking through there, and I don't know how. You know, I don't remember exactly how he started listening to us, but I remember specifically showing him Picture Perfect, and you know, this was before Kurt had even had Esk, because he was still like under Blue Swan, and I just remember him really wanting to start his own label. And Zach sent Kurt our stuff like back in 2013, and he got us on a couple shows, and he really, really liked Picture Perfect, and he liked everything that like we were doing at that time. And he wanted to sign us back then, like we were going to be the first band on his roster. and we declined because I was still in school. Like I had like 2 semesters, maybe 3, away from being done, and I didn't want to just stop in the middle and like start touring full time.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have been a good career move on our part. I don't think we would at that time. I don't think we would have made it. So when I finished school and like all of us were like, you know, we were pretty ready and committed to go. We signed before we went into the studio to record Repeating History. So we just contacted him, and he was like, let's do it. So it was a done deal.
It's awesome. So has Ask been like a pretty positive experience for you guys, you would say? And like how has being on a small record label like that sort of either enhanced the experience, or how do you guys compare it to? I mean, obviously you haven't been on like a Equal Vision or whatever, but like how does it compare in that way?
I mean, it's been a launching ground, that's for sure. Launching pad, I guess. You do have opportunities that we didn't have presented before. We were able to go on, you know, a full U.S. tour with, you know, supporting Kurt, and also we went on tour with Limix J. Buckley. That was pretty cool. And then, you know, we've been on the road consistently every other month or so since then. And, you know, the turnout has gotten bigger. And I think the only thing that would be different from us being on like an Equal Vision is just those opportunities would then grow. You know, you have bigger people you get to support. And I think that's the only thing that would, I'm only speaking from the outside in, because of course I haven't been inside of that. So,
right.
That's all I can really think of, that just more opportunities would come, and hopefully those opportunities do come, the more time we put into this.
Yeah, Kurt has given us like so much exposure. You know, he's been giving us copious amounts of exposure. And like the last 2 tours that we've done with him, he's let us be his backing band too. So we not only get exposure playing with Amarionette every night, but we also get exposure being Kurt's backing band too. So, you know, every night he introduces us as, you know, Amarionette is my backing band. You know, like he's done a lot for us. We're in debt to him, you know, for everything that he's done for us, and he's a great dude. And, you know, he's been nice enough to give us all these opportunities. So, you know, he's like a brother to us.
Yeah, I caught you guys twice on the, I believe it was with Kurt and Andres, I think.
Oh, Andres.
And
love that, man.
The Salt Bay.
The Salt Bay. Andres.
He's going to be on one of our new tracks.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great show. And like you guys said, like backing up Kurt must obviously be a great opportunity, just being his backing band. And like, I mean, honestly, he puts on such a great show every time, and having you guys like be his backing band was a really cool addition to that. Let me see. I think I'll actually incorporate like a fan question or two at this point, just to sort of break it up. So let's see. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. Scarvava wants to know, when will we see Screaming is Serious Business Part 3? Is that gonna be something that's in the works?
Oh yeah,
It's been in the works.
Yeah, I told him like I couldn't wait to answer that question. There's a song that we have a demo for. It's called Tappy Haffy, and I think that is like Screaming Part 3. I really feel
nice.
That is Screaming Part 3. Whether or not it makes the album, you know, I'm not sure, but it's definitely that song.
Oh yeah.
So
We're
I'm
gonna
excited.
Like it,
We're gonna get
like it sort of
trapped
has
in
that vibe to it.
What?
It sort of has a vibe that like continues the first 2 tracks, you would say.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like around the same BPMs, same key, same like chords. So,
Right.
It's the same song backwards, actually.
yeah, it's just like a tapping version of the fucking song.
So let me see. Another question is, I guess you guys were planning on doing reimagined like songs of some of your previous work at some point. So Riley Swim wants to know, are you guys still going to do reimagined songs?
Listen, Riley Swim, do you want a new album or do you want reimagined old songs? Take it, baby. That's all I gotta say about it.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Unless somebody wants to... No, man, I really wanted to do the Reimagine EP. It just came down to, like, oh, well, maybe we should put out a new single instead. And
It's just mostly a timing thing.
yeah,
Right.
that was about it. But we were stoked on it. I started on a couple of those songs. Yeah, Quinn did not like the So Much Better thing that we were doing.
I thought it was dope.
I don't know. He didn't like the drums on it, or like it sounded like really like a lounge song.
Sounds like elevator music.
Yeah, it was, I think those were his words. So it was like, well, all right, whatever.
And I feel like just like when you guys are obviously touring so often, that's a difficult thing to balance, like recording all these different things, and then obviously you guys have like work and like school and all this other stuff that obviously everyone has going on, and it's just like I've talked to other artists about that where they're just like, touring is basically in a lot of cases like that you make so much more money from that than even just recordings. You make like barely anything nowadays. It's like recording almost becomes something you have to like force yourselves to do for some artists I've talked to, where it's like not force yourselves, but like you have to sort of find that inspiration knowing that might not be how you make a living,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That is the harsh reality of it.
Unless you're Rihanna, making money off your singles.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, some artists make money off of it, but yeah, it's definitely not the for a band our size, it's definitely not it's not the breadwinner.
Right.
So
Let me see. So, I guess I want to actually talk about the new stuff you guys are working on and the new single, because you had reached out to me, Nick, like a couple weeks ago to help promote the new single Modern Disco on a site I write for called The New Fury, and I heard the demo that you sent me, and I was immediately like, this is a winner. Like this is a very special song from these guys, because I could tell right away that you guys had done something pretty different, and the demo you sent me sounds, by the way, even more different than the final version. Like I was like, this is straight up like a funk song, basically, like a Michael Jackson 80s meets like a little bit of what you guys did before, but like I was very impressed with it, and right off the bat, and I knew that like I wanted to promote the hell out of it, basically. So if you could sort of describe to me how you sort of came about like incorporating all these different influences into both that song and what you guys have coming up, that'd be awesome.
So I have this coworker that he loves like this new 80s like retro wave stuff that's like on the up and coming, right? And I think to me, like it seemed like this all started getting popular like when Stranger Things got released last year or whatever. For some reason, I don't know I don't know how accurate that is, but it seems like there was like a big boom with like old school 80s, like even like John Carpenter, like compositions, if you will, like have been like really, really popular. So I kind of like got drawn into that, like when he would just kind of play it, and I was like, man, I never realized like how much I love this kind of music, like Comtrues, Ex Machina, Magic Sword. There's like so many weird, obscure artists that do this 80s retro wave, dark wave music that I really like, and I listened to it a lot, like while we were on the road in the van, and I was like, man, how can I incorporate this stuff like with kind of like what we're doing? And I bought this pedal that Will Swan uses it all the time. It's called the Eventide Pitch Factor, and it does like a lot of you could use it to like harmonize, and it has all types of like cool effects, like crystals effects, and Eventide just makes really, really cool pedals. And I tried to like make my guitar, I guess, sound more synthy, just to see like, I don't know, how could I do this? How could I incorporate this sound? And I guess the more that I started playing with it, the more I started to figure it out. And I came up with that riff, I guess, for Modern Disco, and I kind of knew like right away, like, oh shit, this is a cool one. Like this is really, really cool. This is kind of like what I'm going for. And then I went to my buddy's house, who is also, he technically co-produced the song. His name is Scott, and he's like been been a childhood friend of mine, and we put together like the synth bass parts. Even Ron came over when we were writing out the synth bass for it, over my guitar part and just like some basic drums. And it kind of just happened. It was like, this is what I want to do. Like this is the sound I've been kind of itching for, because it still has that. It still has that like progressive, somewhat guitars in there. Like there's a lot of parts happening, but it's definitely pop and funk and got that 80s like vibe in there that we've all been digging. So I guess that's how it came about. And we've got like a batch of those types of songs, and then there's like a batch of like the two sounds like really fused, and then there's another batch of, you know, the repeating history, like picture perfect kind of sound of songs that we have too. So we have like 25 songs for the record to choose from. So
that's awesome. So have you guys actually planned out recording time for the album yet, or is that still like to be determined?
I actually I just talked with our producer Steph out in Portland, and we're thinking like probably the end of September Justin will go out and record drums. We're not sure where Quinn's going to record vocals yet, but me and Ron and AJ will be recording guitars and bass here with our old guitar player Brandon with his setup. He's kind of been like our producer throughout this entire process. So yeah, we've been recording at his place. He's almost like our Tom Denny from A Day to Remember. I don't know if you know anything about those guys or like what he does, but yeah, it's like it's very similar to that. He's really, really good at producing, and he's very easy to work with. He's the man. So
it's cool. So do you guys think like splitting up sort of the producing, the recording process like is something that works well for you guys? Because you mentioned that you did guitars and bass with like your former guitarist, and then drums with somewhere else, and Quinn's vocals a different place. Is that sort of a process that works well?
It's the first time doing it, right?
Well,
We kind of did it with Picture Perfect.
Yeah.
Because we did guitars out here with Mike and Quinn and
Mike, yeah. So for Picture Perfect, Justin flew out to Portland to do drums.
I flew out there too.
And Ron, Ron flew out there to do bass up at Interlace, like in at Chris Crummett's old studio. And then me, AJ, and Quinn recorded vocals and guitars out here. But I guess it's even more split up now because we have like so many different hands in the pot, I guess. But it's really cool to get different inputs from different people, especially like my buddy Scott. Like he doesn't like listen to our type of music at all. Like he's an EDM guy. So to get like his ear on, you know, like modern disco, like on the funky side of things, like that was a really good input because he kind of, you know, I would say more people listen to EDM than they do our style of music, right? So to get his input on like a fusion of the two different things, it was like, you know, a breath of fresh air. And then having Steph and Brandon's production in there, like it like gives us a whole different perspective on our sound, and it's kind of evident that it doesn't really sound like Repeating History at all, and we released that just over a year ago, so it's a pretty dramatic change, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think that's something that can really sort of show, not only show your guys' diversity as artists, but also just like, you know, sort of capture potentially different fan bases and sort of hopefully get sort of a more open-minded fan base that is used to being like, okay, these guys are going to do something different like every single album. We're not going to be a band that just, you know, sort of has a consistent lane that they just stay in. They're going to continue to push themselves. And I think that's sort of something that is important to sort of develop if you want to have fans sort of go along with the ride, you know. So you mentioned that modern disco was sort of a new sound with all these different 80s inspired influences and synth bass and all that. So can you talk to me a little bit more about like the new demos you have that are sort of more fusing that sound with more of a current existing Amarionette sound, and sort of how you're going to sort of pull off that balancing act?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of just been recording like a lot of these songs the same way. Like I've laid down guitar parts with Brandon, and we kind of like created a lot of just like drum parts throughout, like acoustic drum parts, and then I take it over to my buddy Scott's house, and we kind of been just coming up with, you know, synth or like any kind of like weird like pads or whatever, and fuse the two. Or like, you know, if it's something I guess that we kind of just came up with at practice and it's more of like a jam, I guess, I'll just go to Brandon's house and lay down the guitar parts, and if I've written like a second part, I'll just lay it down, and I just send it to the like the group chat that we have, and I'm like, hey, what do you guys think of this? This is like what it actually sounds like. Because sometimes at practice, like it's so loud in that room that you can't exactly like tell what the song really sounds like, I guess. It always sounds a little bit different recorded. Yeah, we're kind of just trying to, I guess to answer your question about pulling off the balancing act, it's kind of just like really listening to all the songs and thinking about like, okay, well, we do want to go with this more, this funky pop sound. So what songs, you know, sound really good in sequence, like lined up together, you know? So I kind of picked out 13 songs that I think are pretty good for the record, like give or take. And, you know, everybody kind of has their own input, and we just see like which we agree on and which we don't. But me and Quinn seem to be very much on the same page. Ron too. I mean, we pretty much all are on the same page as to like what we want on the record. But you know, there might be a song or two that we switch out. But they're really cool. I guess I would have to. I'll send you some more stuff. I think I sent you a couple demos, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I really liked. I'm gonna have to pull up the name, but I mean, I guess I won't mention the names of the demos. But one of them definitely sort of blended like some heavy like 80s sort of synths, and yet it still kind of sounded like a post-hardcore song. I think like that one really excited me. But
yeah,
just the whole mix of styles really is something I think is very unique.
Yeah, thank you. We didn't want to get, once again, like pigeonholed into like the new Paramore thing. I love the new Paramore, by the way. That is not a bad thing. I friggin' love that new album. I think it's probably my favorite out of all their albums, which is weird. But we didn't want to get categorized in that either, because they kind of got a lot of backlash for doing what they did. I think it was...
Which they shouldn't have, because it was a great
album.
album.
I think it's awesome. I think it's one of their best things they've ever done. But I really think we're on to something here, like on to what we're doing. Like, I think it's pretty unique in its own right. So we just want to keep running with it.
I guess I'm going to ask another fan question now that we've talked about the new stuff. So let me see. So I guess this sort of is a weird question, but do you guys plan on continuing the modern disco sound beyond an album or two? I would assume you haven't thought that far ahead yet, but or are you just going to go with the flow of life? That is Cheetah Moses asking my question.
I'll let Ron answer that one.
What? I mean, I don't think there's any plans. We haven't put out the same sounding album yet, so I have no idea. Nick is like the mastermind when it comes to this stuff. He just like brings a riff and he's like, I got this, guys. Let's play it. And we go, okay. And that's how that happens. So it's really whatever mood Nick is in and whatever he can think of. This kid has never done anything the same, but it's always something that impresses us all. So I don't want to say like, yeah, we're going to have a new sound for sure, but I'm not going to say that it's not going to be. I think we're just going to play what we like to play and see what happens. Yeah.
See, Ron loves me.
Don't get. I don't love Nick. I give him more compliments than he deserves. But He really is amazing. He's a song factor. I've always said that to people that ask me about Nick. This dude, like, I don't know where he gets his ideas from, but he just is like song. Someone's gonna steal him one day, and he's gonna be huge because this kid just makes songs, hits.
Thanks,
hits.
man.
It's like a guitar playing Kanye. Hits.
Nah.
He's actually Seosin's ghostwriter. If y'all didn't know that.
Yeah. I love that band so much.
I wish I was a ghostwriter. I wish I was a ghostwriter, though. You know, I'll let me ghost. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Bo, hit me up. Hey, Bo, hit me up, bro.
No, man, I do kind of think our previous releases, like Picture Perfect and Repeating History, were similar in sound. Like if you were to like put those songs on Repeating History half step down, or if you were to tune up Picture Perfect to standard, I think there would be like a very similar sound. A lot of those songs were kind of written together. Yeah, I mean, so I feel like this modern disco sound is like, I guess, man, I want to say it's almost like our happiness of DGD, but I really don't want to say that. Just like a different sounding record. But yeah, I kind of do want to, like, as of right now, yeah, I would love to keep this type of sound going, or like something different, like kind of change it up. I do think the previous releases, I keep forgetting about the self-titled album too. It's like that album doesn't doesn't exist.
Chapters in the self-titled, and I'm just like, who's gonna push those to the side?
But no, those two, like a lot of those, like the self-titled album and Dangerous EP were very similar, and then Picture Perfect. Well, no, I guess
Dangerous was so laid back, and self-titled was just like balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
as many notes
we played so many notes in that album. Like, there's so many notes happening.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I guess this album is definitely way different than the other ones, but I think it's really different in a good way. It's not so post-hardcore, though, honestly. Like, I don't know if people would even, like, consider us post-hardcore after this album. I mean, I don't know. There are post-hardcore elements, but it's really not like a post-hardcore album at all.
That's fine. I mean, I definitely don't want to be pigeonholed into one genre.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the best bands are ones that aren't pigeonholed into one genre, so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But, let's see. Also, I was going to mention that I had talked to a couple of people that also thought that happiness comparison, but I didn't really want to mention, like, DGD, because I know that's like the main comparison point for like so many bands in this genre. But
I know. I love that band to death, though. I really do. Like, I love them so much. But yeah, it is kind of, sometimes it's hard to break away from. But I mean, it's also a good thing. Like, they're a really good band. So you know, they are the founder of this kind of music, I think, to an extent.
Yeah, definitely. So another fan question, I guess, is, let's see. A lot of these are just dumb. I don't want to waste you guys' time with these. Let's see. I guess this is a good one. Kyle Shotwell wants to know, are you guys going to come back to the East Coast for shows anytime soon?
I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah, man, we really hope so. Yeah, touring, like, we kind of just have to figure out, I guess, more things behind the scenes that will allow us to do more touring. Like, we need like an agent, or, you know, if we do it independent, like, we need more resources to be able to do so. But we do have some shows booked on the West Coast for November, which will be fun. Like, we're kind of just doing what we can. I'd love to be on the East Coast again, like doing another full US. Like, that was some of the most fun we ever had. So yeah, it's just a matter of, like, you know, when Kurt wants to go out on tour, you know, especially if, like, we're his backing band, like, yeah, like, definitely, you know, he has the resources to do so. Like, he has an agent. We technically don't have our own booking agent.
Yeah.
And, you know, so there's only so much we can really do.
It's just hard to do it. Like, you know, Kurt has those resources, like Nick was saying, and without the resources doing it on our own, touring on just the West Coast is hard enough on our own. versus trying to get out there on the East Coast. It's kind of like it's just the resource issue. It's not so much that we don't want to. We love the East Coast. The East Coast showed us so much love when we were out there. It's just a matter of getting out there and finding the resources to do so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you guys have any shows coming up? Speaking of shows that you would want to like plug or let our listeners know about?
Yes. I mean, so November 3rd, we have something set up with in Sacramento, and then we're shooting to play November 4th, hopefully in it seems like the Orange County area as of right now.
Okay.
So it's not 100% confirmed. Like, it's not released yet, so I don't want to say too much, but
I guess we have the show here. If anyone from
and then
our hometown is
in September, September 16th, we're playing with Icarus the Owl, Bella Noire, and Dayshell out here in Vegas.
Nice. I guess you guys, once you guys have more of the album like ready to release, you guys can definitely come back on and we can do like a track by track if you guys want, because I've done that with Idola and we're gonna try to do it with a couple other artists coming up, and like every time we've done it, it's been like a blast. So we'd love to have you guys do that if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, that'd be real fun.
Thank you for doing this for us, man.
I'd love to break down the album and complain about all my complaints.
Ron has nothing but complaints.
I got nothing but complaints, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for like an album like it sounds like this will be, where it's going to be something very different from you guys, and you guys sort of pushing yourselves into different genres and different styles. Like, I feel like that'll be a really fun thing to sort of break down for everyone. So I'd love to help do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you for everything that you've done too. We really appreciate the article in New Fury and then doing this for us, man. And I see you blasting it everywhere and all the DGD forums and stuff. It's really cool, man.
Yeah, of course.
It does not go unnoticed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, honestly, this is a song where I feel like it should, like, I feel like it at least should bring you guys to like a bigger audience, or at least have a more devoted fan base or something, because to me, like, it's such a good song, and it's like it's such an accessible song too. Like, it's not to say that like your other guys' stuff wasn't, but it's like this is like a song that I feel like can instantly hook people, and I feel like once more people start to hear it or see you guys on tour play it or something like that, like, it'll just keep growing, hopefully.
Thanks, man.
That's
the
dream.
That's the dream. We're just kind of hoping that it catches on. We haven't had this many views in a song or shares on a song, this fast, which is really cool. And we also have my buddy Mitchell. I guess I don't want to say shout out, but we really appreciate all his help that he's done for us behind the scenes. He actually works for Facebook, and he's able to do a bunch of ads and stuff for us on Facebook, and that's definitely helped with our likes and all of our promotion. So that is one resource that we do have that we are extremely thankful for, and are able to, it's able to get us out there.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, that's a good connection to have for sure. Someone at Facebook.
Yeah, man. It's helped us so much with promotion and like boosting merch sales and stuff. It's really, really helped a lot.
Nice.
So.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for doing this and like coming on. The song Modern Disco is out now. It's fucking incredible song. I'm really stoked to hear the new album. I mean, your most recent album is Repeating History. You can obviously go buy that. Go see these guys whenever they're on tour next. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, AJ. Amarionette, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.